not buying a school bus.
If we have one, it's sort of like my car, you know, I think I can,
It's a
well,
little,
maybe
it's a
one
little
year.
different. We're on a cycle, and that is given to us by the State Department, and we must, plus the purchase is
That we're allocated a specific amount.
for that
For-
particular
Must be spent on
item.
buses.
Can't.
How about
Change.
parking? Macadam. Something, I don't, I'm not
I
sure,
mean, I
but
just
it-
want, you know, I just didn't want you to
Right.
think that we would, you know, and they do that because of safety for children as
Oh,
well.
I'm sure.
So
I'm
those
sure.
are the kinds of, some of the things that we have
Your
not,
hands are tied,
Right.
right, but it, I mean,
they
you
give us
know, I-
money, but it must be for
And if you
buses.
don't buy it, you lose that money for next year, is that right, Bertie? If you don't spend what they allot you for transportation, you don't get that much.
Well, actually, there's a set amount in the formula now that you get every year.
Did
You
that
have-
go up or down?
It does, it'll fluctuate, but it's every year, and, you know, say if he orders, 4 buses and there's a little bit of money left over, I still have to designate that for a bus purchase in the future.
Yeah.
So when
But,
it,
I mean,
whatever.
You can't use that for anything
No,
else.
no.
we'll
Has
strike
to
the
be-
bus out.
Okay.
Forget
Well,
that.
I wanted
But
you
some-
to, understand
For
that.
sure, but I guess my hope is that there are some things that we, that the board might say, okay, we're gonna postpone this just for a year, and with that money, we're gonna try to do some of the
I think we all understand that, Rick. I'm sure, I think we're looking at 16 positions here, and everybody's gonna have their own stories of how
I know.
necessary, and, not that we dispute any of those.
Right. I
the
guess I
lady-
just think that what she does impacts so
Well,
much
but-
more than, of course,
And she may
everybody's gonna
well-
say that.
it very well may be true, but I've got a feeling if the Guy and Valley people were still here, they would tell us how the impact that an assistant principal would have on their school. So, and I don't disagree with either one of them. As far as the levy's concerned, I think we have to be a little bit, cautious here about jumping in and spending money that we aren't sure of. Now, maybe as time goes on and we see how those tax collections work out and all that, that there may be some funding there. But in addition to that, of course, you know how the levy is set up. So much money goes to the various categories. And it may be that there'll be monies, for professional educators or whatever. But, I think we just have to be cautious with that, because it's our hope that that would be some additional funding that we would have. Although overall, what we bring in the school aid formula, they take part of that back, but the excess levy is a little bit different, so I think that's intriguing for us too. But we just want to be cautious and not put all of our eggs in that basket, and then it, be broken. So,
I guess-
Because that, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Because that number you threw out there, that's based on everybody out paying their taxes. My opinion, when they get their tax bill, they may be some that don't pay their taxes, so it's went up drastically.
Plus, what was it, Bertie, that you said, we would need to sustain these 40 positions, $1 million,
$1.8 million.
1.8 million, even if we had the 600,000, we're still $1 million too short.
I'm only arguing for one of them.
But I'm having to think.
Everybody else.
Right. And I guess
I'm
that-
just
that-
trying to put it in perspective as far as, the state says you must have these positions. Unfortunately, a social worker is not one.
Right. I
And
know.
they don't recognize that, and they,
Oh, was she on a grant, had been on a
She
grant?
had been, and on the same grant that the counselors had been on. And the county carried her for 1 year, 2 years? Two.
Yeah, this would be 2 years.
And, and we're getting more and more over, so.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I know this is something we talked about when we talked about, maybe it was this last year, I don't know, we talked about the
Counselors.
counselors. And we couldn't figure out the logistics of how to do it, was the idea that we go to the public and ask the public to help us raise money for people's salaries. And we started that, and there were some complications about could we have people write checks to the board, and it was decided, well, we probably couldn't, and
I
then
remember something about that.
we had to talk about it. I don't know whether, I think if we could find a way to do that, that some of these positions, and I would think a position like Carrie's, that there would be support from the public in trying to keep that position. I don't know whether we could come up with the 50,000, I don't know what, how to
About
figure
60, we-
60, whatever the magic number is with
Yeah,
the
average is
benefits
60
and,
with
yeah.
probably on more.
whether we could come up with that much, but I think we could come up with some, if we could figure a way to accept that money legally, and maybe even give people a tax write-off for it. I think that's the other thing that might increase the amount of money that people could give if they thought, ooh, I can give $5,000 and just do a nonprofit, and wow, I'm gonna have to pay that much. But I don't know what that,
I don't either. I
we,
mean,
you know, I don't know how we, I don't know.
I'd like to see some of those checks come in.
Yes. Well,
Yeah, we do.
when we started with the counselors before, we ended up having to give everything back because we couldn't find an agency that could take it, and I can't remember how much we had. I think we had $5,000 that we raised. That was just a real, I mean, we'd only done it a little while before it was like, hey.
Can't do that. We're
Can't do
doing
that.
something wrong. I remember.
Yes.
There were many hoops that we had not jumped through in order to do it correctly.
Yeah,
We understand, Rick.
sure, I know you do. I'm not telling you anything new.
Well, once again, it gets back to what we said here earlier. Some of these I don't know anything's non-essential, but in somebody's eyes, maybe they aren't.
Not a formula position.
Right, and those are the ones that are more subject to being lost.
Yeah.
And that's why I was thinking, like the high school, it's a prime target. At the elementary school, you're very limited on what can happen there. So it's not ideal, and, you know, we'll see here what happens in the next
I
few
just
days.
think, you know, if we get rid of positions that are gonna keep kids from dropping out, boy, we're gonna lose even more money, and then we're gonna have to get rid of more. It's just, you know, somehow we gotta staunch it.
That's a good valid argument.
Well, thank you, appreciate you listening to me again.
I'm sure you'll be back.
I probably will.
I don't know what you'll be
I'm not-
talking about, but you'll be back.
Not
Thank you,
sure
Rick.
what it'll be about.
Appreciate it.